je vous aimerai. Ma foi, je ne sais pas. Peut-être jamais. Peut-être demain. Mais pas aujourd'hui. C'est certain. L'amour est un oiseau rebelle que nous n'est plus apprivoiseur. Il est bien doit que la peine, s'il lui convient de refuser. Rien n'y fait, mon oiseau préféré, l'humain est bien notre idée. Et si l'autre que je préfère, il n'a rien dit, mais il m'aime. L'amour est enfant des bohèmes. Il n'a jamais connu les lois. Si tout n'aimait pas, je t'aime. Si je t'aime, bon regard de toi. Si tout n'aimait pas, si tout n'aimait pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, si je t'aime, prends garde de toi. L'oiseau que tu croyais sauvageant bâtit de les envola. L'amour est loin, tu peux l'attendre, tu ne l'attends plus, elle est là. Tout de toi vite, vite, il vient sans faire plus, il revient. Tu croyais te dire, vite, vite, tout quoi la vite, il t'attend.
Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm Menome, that's how it's spelt, and that's how it's pronounced. And of course, if you're not in the UK, hello, insert time of day, and welcome. I'm not at my best this evening. It's been a tough few days medically, so do apologise that I'm not at, I'm not generally a perky person, but I'm definitely not going to be at my perkiest today. So I may not get a full 3 hours out of me tonight, for which I apologise. We will see how things go. So I do apologise if we do have to cut things short today. But got a drink to keep my fluids up. I've had a hot shower to relax. Had dinner to keep my strength up. So fingers crossed we can get through as much as we can today. And there's one thing I'm in need of after this week. It's some good old-fashioned stress relief. And if there's one thing that's guaranteed to release some stress, it's shooting the hordes of hell in the face. And that's what we're going to do today with the original Doom from 1993, courtesy of id Software. Now, I may occasionally accidentally refer to them as id Software because that's how I pronounced it as a child when I was too young to have been playing Doom, but I did anyway, like many people of my age. So I apologise if I slip up there, it will happen. Of course, id Software featured many people who sort of were famous in the game development industry. Obviously John Romero, who had some ups and downs. We know about Daikatana, and I am sure at some point in the future we'll play that. In other news, American McGee, who went on to create the quite great Alice series of games. I'm going to forget names because my head's in a muddle. That's terrible. We'll look at the credits in a moment and just see some of the other names that we'll remember, and I can spout some facts off. As I say, we're playing the original version. I'm running my Windows 95 CD version through the latest version of the Z-Doom engine, which is now updated to GZ-Doom. This allows it to run on modern systems without too much hassle. Z-Doom allows sort of a number of options if we wanted. The main thing I'm using it for, apart from stability, is allowing it to run at 1080p resolution, so that it's not going to be too much of a eye strain to play at. We could, if we wanted, have mouse look, crouching, jumping, 3D acceleration, textures and 3D models. We won't be having any of that in our run through of the original Doom, but when it comes to going through Doom 2 and Final Doom in the future, we may just sort of introduce elements like that gradually. And with other Doom engine games, we'll possibly add in extra bits of that, but we're keeping things as pure as possible for today. So, without further ado, let's get things started up. It's always the moment of truth that things don't crash. Of course, this is the Ultimate Doom, which features a fourth episode which was created in 1995 and added onto the game afterwards. So it's technically non-canon, it's essentially an expansion pack episode, but we'll head through it anyway when we get to it. A content warning for stuff that's coming up in Doom. If you are unaware, this game features a lot of violence, a lot of gore. It features horror imagery. It features satanic imagery. It features a lot of strobe lighting and flashing lighting, so if you are an epileptic viewer, this may not be suitable for you. I do apologise. Nothing of a sexual nature, no spiders, no suicide content as far as I'm aware. I believe that covers things. If there's anything else that I can think of that may need to warn people about, I'll bring it up in a bit. Now, for anyone who watched the end of our last Myth video, I will be starting again from the beginning, so there may be a few talking points that I go over again. I do apologise for the repetition, but it's just to be fair and the people are joining us for the first time. Now, Doom came in a series of episodes, originally just 3. The first one was originally given away for free on PC Magazine cover discs over the internet, a variety of fashions, in a manner known as shareware. Similar to a game demo, except whereas a demo would give you maybe sort of 1, maybe 2 levels to play around with, this was an entire chapter of the game, gave you a couple of hours worth of content, got people sort of fully immersed in the Doom experience, and thus more likely to shell out their money for the game once it got its hooks in. Shareware was something that sort of had its biggest amount of popularity during the early and mid 90s. By the end of the decade, sort of more general demos were the way of things, especially with the rise of the CD format allowing for we're CD content allowing sort of more demos on one disc, but the size of games becoming greater just meant that sort of having big amounts of content as shareware just wasn't feasible anymore. You couldn't give customers a third of a game, because that would be sort of, at the time, a couple of 100 megabytes of content, which was a lot when download speeds were at approximately 6 kilobytes a second. So, let's get started. Because of the fact that I am talking to people whilst playing, we are not going to be playing on anything too difficult. So, we start off, and as I pointed out in the original time playing this, we come in, and in contrast to Myst, which was released in the same year, we immediately have the metal soundtrack. We've got what are not quite as detailed graphics, but immediately sort of something that we can freely move around in. We've got a space that we can directly interact with. Doom's engine is essentially an illusion of 3D. It's 2.5D, so as you'll see, enemies and objects in it are in fact 2D sprites. So this barrel here, no matter what direction we looked at it in, will always be the same way. Same with our gun, it's a 2D image imprinted on the screen. This carcass here will always look the same, and so on and so forth. Which also means that whilst there is a rudimentary looking up and down system, you'll see that it somewhat distorts the viewing angle a bit. It isn't great, and so sort of aiming has a assisted auto aim function in there, so anything that's above or below where we're shooting will be automatically tracked with our bullets. There's nothing around that corner there, but right. So is it up there that it does? No. Oh, it's down here, isn't it? I'm going to be a bit rusty because aside from the brief interlude in which I played it several weeks ago, it's been a while since I played a keyboard controlled shooter, so I do apologise. Just backtracking to make sure I've not missed anything. No. Let's just check the map. This is fine to me. And of course, as I say, it's came out the same year as Myst. I think this came out approximately 3 months after. I'm sure this comes down. Can't remember how though. That one can stay where it is. Yeah, there is a way through it now. Fortunately, my memory is failing me. And at the time it sort of sparked a one of the many debates between the hardcore and the casual crowd of gamers. I'll save over that again and start over new. There's a divide that's never really gone away. So whilst we had 25 years ago Doom versus Myst, a few years ago we had the likes of the what we'll call the Call of Duty crowd versus Gone Home, and the rise of the walking simulator. It's something that's probably never going to go away fully. And there was me sort of stuck in the middle going, well, I like both sides. Doom I've been playing since I was, as I say, too young to have been playing it. So first one I played was in fact, well, whilst I played the shareware version of the original Doom, the first one I actually got was Doom 2, back on my often mentioned 486 DX2 66 MHz PC, because it was one of the games that would actually run on it. There's Riddle. And I'm sure my mother can tell you that I was maybe not, well, possibly Doom obsessed, but I did play it a fair bit in my younger years. Again, as I say, it was sort of one of a limited amount of games I had that would run on my PC, so, and you know, I was a young boy, shooter games were my thing. I was sort of playing a borrowed copy of friend Lewis's PlayStation version as well, which was a remixed version of a number of levels from the original and Doom 2, which I played in between Doom 2 and the first Doom on PC, which meant I got a bit confused when it got to around playing the original Doom. It was like these levels aren't in the right order. And again, as I've warned, unfortunately, a lot of flashing lighting in this game. So, whilst Doom is obviously sort of quite a run and gun game, there's a fair amount of sort of horror injected as well, and you know, whilst maybe less so nowadays with games having gotten a lot more effective at jump scares and the like, but it's still something that I say is something at least mildly startled me. But you managed to use sort of what limited technology there was at the time to sort of so we want to be doing it this way, to sort of use lighting to create sort of a horror sensibility with what they had available. Another thing that Doom of course introduced, well not introduced as such but made popular, was network multiplayer, especially deathmatch. See if I can see the what's down there, but can't just check. There, of course, you'll see sort of where the vertical assisting aiming comes into play. Now, first time we played this, I made a terrible mistake and ran off into the slime and died. So let's try not to do this again. With the shareware version, I believe also featuring multiplayer and being freely traceable around, do manage to really kick off the idea of the deathmatch. And whilst it didn't feature its own dedicated multiplayer maps, that's something that would come in later games, sort of both by id Software and other developers. It allowed for sort of either playing against each other on the maps from the main game, or even going through the entire game cooperatively, support for up to 4 players. Of course, throughout the time, sort of somewhat complex and moving geometry like that was also a technically impressive feat. One thing you'll also notice though is as sprawling and impressive as the layout may be on some these levels, no two bits will ever in fact overlap one another. This is due in part to that 2.5D technology I was telling you about. Well, due mostly to that technology. So for instance, we won't see anything like a spiral staircase where we get stairs going over one another. It's all going to be, whilst there'll be different levels, it'll be done in a somewhat flat style. Just check. So wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, wall 4, yeah, okay. Just go find the yellow door. Rounding. There's a blue. Now you hear the sort of snorting sound in the distance there. A number of Doom sound effects were taken from sort of stock assets at the time. id Software being sort of a small development team, didn't have a full sound development studio or anything like that. And so a number of enemy sounds in fact came from a sound bank of farmyard animals. And so you've heard the snorting sound there, which is identifiably a pig. But a number of other enemies coming from other farmyard animals, so see if there's any other things you can recognise whilst you're playing through. And so we get to Doom's version of a machine gun, a chain gun. Now the Doom follows on from both id Software's and sort of other development studios, and also inspires basically sort of the entire FPS genre up until now, really, with your number 1 melee, number 2 weapon is a pistol, 3 is your shotgun, 4 is your machine gun type. And we've been following that template roughly or loosely for the better part of 30 years or so. See there, the ability to shoot through a semi-transparent textured surface, which is something that would then become unavailable again during the 3D era. And then available again as technology caught back up again with itself. Let's wait to the exit, which one is our bits we missed. Rockets. That's probably all we're going to find for now. We're going all the way back. That way. Obviously, Doom itself spawned a number of imitators, some good, many bad. Before the term first-person shooter became a popular catch-all phrase, most things would be termed as a Doom clone. I can't remember exactly when a first-person shooter really took off. Somewhere in the sort of late 90s, really. id Software themselves licensed the Doom engine out to a number of studios. One of the best licensees, in my opinion, was Raven Software, who went on to do a fantasy-based take on the first-person shooter with Heretic, and then Hexen, where they added a lot more complexity to the map design, added different character classes that you could play, and added jumping and stats. It was all quite an impressive feat, and it will be a game that we're definitely getting to in the future. Oh, as well as a limited inventory system as well. Hexen remains a favourite to this day, even if it is sometimes still a bit confusing to get around. Instead of set levels, featured a hub-based system, but be easier to explain and show off. When we actually get to it. Of course, another popular game that came a bit later on was Duke Nukem, which took sort of took the shooting of Doom, rejected the somewhat lad culture that there was that had erupted in the 90s. And testosterone of 80s action heroes and pumped that up to maximum. Whilst that wasn't done with the Doom engine, that was the build engine, which has also been used for games such as Blood and Shadow Warrior. But that was probably sort of the biggest of the Doom contenders back in the day. That was stupid. Let's go and get that health before we do any of this. Should have saved before I did the first one, but jumping in Doom doesn't really exist. You essentially sprint very fast over small gaps. You are falling with style, as Woody from Toy Story would put it. I'm not losing any frames. No. The build engine had a similar setup to Doom, again sort of using sprite-based enemies and a 2.5D framework. Had a rather ingenious workaround for not being able to build over the top of level geometry though. So in that instance, in the event of a spiral staircase, for instance, the spiral would carry round to the point where the spiral would meet, and then there would be an invisible teleporter that would then teleport you to another portion of that staircase and another bit of the map, take you up there and teleport you back over to the next bit of the map where the geometry didn't overlap again. So you're essentially sort of working similar to portals in Portal. I went through there, didn't I? Yeah. I've been through the blue door. No. You can see here, lots of use of moody, spooky lighting. Look at that rocket though. Of course, we'll start getting lost. Of course, every little point of armour helps, especially when we end up with some of the larger enemies towards the end of this episode. That was red, of course. Nope. Well, nice that there's enough health in there for if you did decide to panic and blow yourself up. So, well, I can gather sort of much of the level design in this first episode was in fact done by John Menome. And there is a very good book that if you wish to read up on the development of Doom, you should read, called Masters of Doom, which can be found at many good book retailers. Unfortunately, I forget the name of the author at this moment in time. I'll see if I can find that out quickly when we go on our break in a little bit. Flick the switch. What does it do? The ammo backpack, which essentially allows us to carry double ammo. Oh, invisible boy. So we'll go back the way we came and start picking up some of the excess ammo we left behind. With Doom, with it being split into 3 episodes, you do start each one bereft of all your weapons and items at the start of each. I believe story reasons get given in the very limited story text you get given between each episode. Doom was not non-existent of plot, but light on it. The main premise was given in the manual and on the back of the box. You are part of the, if I remember correctly, I think it's the United States Marine Corps, something along those lines. Or was it United Space Marine Corps, perhaps? There was a yellow door there. You're on a base on the moon of Mars called Phobos. They're working with teleporter technology, and then the teleporters accidentally create a rip in the space-time continuum which allows the demons of hell to come through. They mess stuff up, you pick up a gun, and that's where we are. There were attempts at storifying Doom. A set of 3 novels were written. That's what I'd say about that. A comic book series was written. That's what I'd say about that. Right, so the entryway is up that way. Tell, thanks for our auto map we picked up. Just wanted to have that mega health. Now, well, I will get a bit more on those items. The books, damn it, get myself lost. Right, the books said that they weren't really the meanings of hell, but aliens that pretended to be from hell. Well, they dressed up like they were from hell in order to scare people more. Fine. Bit stupid. Can't remember how to open that now. Is there a switch somewhere? Possibly one of these pillars. I honestly don't remember. There we are. The books also brought up the character of Arlene, who, well, the name of which would unfortunately become part of evidence in the aftermath of the Columbine school shooting. Erroneous evidence, as it was brought up that apparently the character in Doom the game named their shotgun Arlene, which is false, because the character doesn't name the shotgun anything, and in the books they don't name the shotgun Arlene, if I remember correctly. So that is what that is. And the comics were nonsensical trash. It's where the rip and tear meme comes from, where you just get rather ballistic Doomarine. One of that's opened, that down there. Ah, there we go. There was, of course, the Doom movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Carl Judge Dredd Urban. Which was a movie that existed. It was alright. It was predominantly based on Doom 3, which again is alright, but not really my favourite in the series. I've played through Doom 3 once, never gone back. It's just, don't want to get crushed by the door. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. I got some health. And then, of course, there's the ultimate adaptation of Doom, the fanfic online. No, John, you are the demon. off the top of my head, I can't think of any other notable adaptations of Doom, sort of outside of games. Obviously there have been multiple ports to other formats than the PC. I mentioned earlier the version for the original PlayStation that I played a bit when I was a teenager. There's the pretty technically impressive SNES version, which was not quite up to the fidelity of the PC version, was quite the feat back in the day, getting it running on a 16-bit console. Right, there's the rocket launcher, but using it in a tight enclosed space is not a good idea. There's a very good comparison of all the Doom ports by Digital Foundry, which I'll provide a link to in the YouTube version of this video once this gets uploaded there. It's about 50 minutes long, because there are a lot of ports of Doom, but it's well worth watching through if you've got a lunch hour spare. Go around in a circle. That's unexplored. A yellow key. Let's start from here again. Right. Okay, I remember that. Picking that up. Okay, I've not done this yet. Anything important? I remember back in the day being, it must have been about 2002, being incredibly impressed at the fact that I got a Doom running on my Game Boy Advance. Picked up a copy from my local HMV for the ludicrously low sum of £10. That's dead end room. Okay. And that did me well on a family holiday to Cyprus one year. And again, me and my friend Lewis played that in multiplayer a few times with a Game Boy Advance link cables at high school. Doom is also something that gets used as a benchmark for porting to numerous odd devices. It's been ported to things that you wouldn't expect it to be ported to, such as scientific calculators, medical equipment. I seem to remember it was ported to either a photocopier or a fax machine at one stage. Looks like it's probably the blue door there. Oh. There we go. I remember it in the early days of mobile phone games as well. Got ported to some of the early colour screen devices in a sort of RPG, turn-based RPG format. I never got to give that one a go, but certainly a novel way of doing it when the system wasn't capable of running it in full 3D such as this. Right, just past the hour, well, just at the hour mark. That's the end of a level. So we'll take our first break there. Give me a chance to just have a bit of a drink, so I've not been treating myself well. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes time, and we'll definitely reach the end of the first episode, and we'll get somewhere into the second one as well. So see you in a little bit. I just got to, there we go. Okay, right. Sorry, I'm messing around with the Doom here. Let's hope it pops back up in a moment. Whoops. There we go. Right, so we're back. And had a quick check. And the book Masters of Doom was written by David Kushner. So if you want to check that out, please do. It is a great read about John Carmack and John Romero and the rest of id Software. Through the development of Doom and Quake and sort of the whole studio. It's a fairly standard price for a novel. You can get it for probably sort of under £10, $10 or under $10, and yeah, highly recommend it. Right, let's go through this. The final level of this first episode. So far, everything we've seen has been a somewhat, sort of fairly sciencey, I guess you could say. But there we find the auto map. Okay, hang on a moment. That's looking a bit pentagramish. Everything's suddenly looking a bit more occultish. Textures are stonework instead of tech work. What's going on here? Now we get introduced to our first iteration of some of the definitely hellish enemies. Now I get these the wrong way around every time, because there are stronger variations as well. We'll call these the Barons of Hell for now. These could be the Demon Princes. But they're tough enemies. You just find an empty expanse, some stairs. Let's grab some health for whatever's ahead. Oh, that looks a little bit ominous. I'll read that out in case that's a bit hard for you to see. Once you beat the big badasses and clean out the moon base, you're supposed to win, aren't you? Aren't you? Where's your fat reward and ticket home? What the hell is this? It's not supposed to end this way. It stinks like rotten meat, but it looks like the lost Deimos base. Looks like you're stuck on the shores of hell. The only way out is through. To continue the Doom experience, played The Shores of Hell, its amazing sequel, Inferno. So this was the end of the first chapter, and of course the shareware experience. So you got a glimpse of the sort of more occult side of things. You had two of the larger enemies, and then you died, whether you liked it or not. So it was your hook for continuing the remainder of the game, and of course purchasing the rest of it. So there. Of course you see a name of the people who worked at id Software. So, we go to the new game, go to The Shores of Hell. I think we'll go to medium. And so we see things change drastically. The outside is now suitably a hellish landscape. The architecture is different, teleporters are different. Got to upside down satanic imagery. And so we've died, we've gone to hell. You see that hell is now incorporating facets of technology. Through. Of course, as mentioned before, started off with no weapons, no items. So it's back to low ammo. God damn it. My old man arthritic hands are not quite so good at strafing as they used to be. Done something somewhere. Could hear the rustling noise. Just don't know where. That's. Oh. And we're introduced to another enemy. There we have our first proper death, as opposed to a scripted one. What's through here? notice from this point onwards that map design starts getting a little bit more on the tricksy side as well. I do worry that I may have made a mistake going on the medium difficulty trying to do this and talk to you. So I may in fact elsewhere. I do apologise. But if I was focused just on the game, I might be a bit more able to do this, but alas, I am not. What I need is a difficulty between not too hard and medium. Sort of streaming difficulty. Left that one there, actually. Right, there we go. We are technically back to where we were. So blue key for there, we've got a red key for in there. But a lost soul. Thankfully the things that just spawn those don't turn up until the sequel, because those are annoying as hell. So back to something a little bit more, I'd say, recognisable in terms of human architecture. But we're seeing we're obviously seeing the demonic influence a lot more now. Don't need those shells just yet. Got to apologise for having to watch out and put the difficulty down, but right now I'm having to concentrate on just trying to talk a bit whilst playing, and also just keeping a side eye on the status of the stream to the side as well, just means I can't give the game 100% attention. I would normally be able to actually make it a less frustrating experience. Oops, I don't want to do that. So the Berserk power-up, apart from making a screen red, makes your punches super powerful, but of course means you have to get up close. And to be honest, whilst it's fun, it's not really worth the trade-off, I found. Now, there's a mod for Doom which became quite popular a few years ago. Was it Brutal? Yeah, Brutal Doom, which introduced a far more brutal aspect to the melee side of Doom, which includes a lot of what I guess we call fatalities. And to be honest, it never really tickled my fancy. It was a bit too over the top. But Doom itself was quite, and there we see sort of, oh look, we go from warehouse to demonic monastery. Doom itself was quite instrumental in paving the way for modding and conversion community in games. One of the earliest big projects was the Aliens total conversion for Doom. Which is still available online if you can track it down. We may take a look at that as well someday. So look what's down the slime tunnel. Lost a bit of health, but probably not as much as if we just run in there blind. But it was so Aliens total conversion, and that really sort of sparked off the creative flame in a lot of people. So you've got things as varied as Batman total conversion, there's Simpsons one, everything under the sun. And of course, further in software games such as Quake 2, and then games such as Half-Life furthered and supported the modding community. We ended up with games such as Team Fortress, Counter-Strike, both of those becoming independent titles which originated in the modding scene. Big map. Right. Okay, so we can't get through the hedge yet. And slime tunnel before, right, so go forwards. Or not. Or do. Try and remember what it put the yellow door was. Of course, thank goodness for doing guys' ability to run at approximately 88 miles an hour. Well, sure, glad this doesn't look like a trap. Okay. Anything else? Damn it. Yellow door there, where's there? Down and around. Okay. Right, so where else? Still only got a yellow key. self pack, so you might find a plasma rifle around here somewhere. Remember when I was younger, sort of, because I had a few games at disposal, so I go through things multiple times, Doom being one of them, where I'd set myself little challenges, sort of like, you know, give yourself infinite ammo, but you have to put it on hardest difficulty, you're only allowed to use one gun. For instance, you can use a plasma rifle, but nothing else. Right, definitely saving here. If this was real life, I'd be incredibly messed up because my depth perception is rubbish. Thankfully, this is fake depth perception, so it doesn't matter. It's what I have to deal with on a daily basis. Don't stand in the electric conduit bits. Try not to get caught on scenery either. Okay, right, there we go. So where's the way out? That way. That way. Oh yeah. There we go. We will probably never get 100% secrets, I'll tell you that much. For anyone who's unaware, we're currently mostly invisible. And walking over moving mounds of flesh. That's us out of bullets at the moment. Quick check what's out here. Be careful, as tools can crush you if you're not careful. plasma rifle I'm going to save for when some of the bigger enemies make themselves known. So anything like cacodemons or hounds of hell. Right, save that. I think we've got time for going through one more level. Partly because my hands are hurting just a bit from getting used to that keyboard movement once again. So I think it will be a 2-hour stream tonight. So let's get through this one and we'll be wrapping it up. There'll be a way. There's always a way. Oh, hello. But I sure am glad this isn't ominous. Yeah. Right. Rooms. That. With a path down there. Oh, that just takes us there as well. Gosh darn it. Something down there, I presume. More crushinators, of course. Just here exploring dead ends until we find the right one. It's probably something incredibly obvious that I've missed. Hello. No, that wasn't it. Something I'm missing. No, that doesn't activate this bridge. Why can't I remember? These back to here. Right, 1 second. We will consult a walkthrough because very last bit of the level, we just want to get this done. I'm starting to get a bit of eye strain. Bloody pop-up ads on wikis. Right. Apparently, right, so go back to the blood room by the exit. Apparently I've missed a switch somewhere, so we go... No, I don't want to go... There. Son of a bitch. There we go. God damn it. Time 20 minutes, should have been about 13. Take us back to there. So yeah, as I say, we're going to finish up there a bit early. Firstly, hand strain. Secondly, eye strain. So yeah. So thanks very much for joining me for this evening. Sorry, firstly, for once again, no Monkey Island this week. Last week was a problem for the internet. This week was an issue medically. Migraines are playing up, and again, that's partly why I'm cutting it a bit short this week. Hopefully it'll be back to normal next week, and hopefully I'll be back to work tomorrow as well, providing they finally go away. But so next week, try not to break the mirror. Next week, hopefully, we'll be starting Monkey Island properly, without any technical issues, and we'll be continuing with Doom, getting through probably the rest of episode 2 and a good chunk into episode 3, and then don't know what we'll do after Doom. I think possibly with the new Shadow of the Tomb Raider game just around the corner, we may go back all the way to the very original game. I'll see if I can get the 3DFX OpenGL version working. If not, we'll just have to play in software mode. But either way, see what we can do. But that's all from me for tonight at least. So once again, thank you very much. This video will go up on the YouTube channel, the details for which, the link is in the information panels at the bottom of both the Mixer page at mixer.com/Menome and the Twitch page at twitch.tv/Menome Twitch. You can also find me on Twitter at Menome TV. And all that's left to say is the time of recording is the 6th of September 2018. Where's the time gone? The Great Nuclear War has not yet happened. But if you are watching for the future, keep safe, keep warm, and watch out for the giant nuclear demons. Thank you, and good night.